It's September 9th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with the Paris Paralympics. The curtain was drawn on the 2024 edition on Sunday, wrapping up the 12-day summer games in the French capital. Team Korea is coming home with 6 gold medals, surpassing its initial goal of securing 5 golds. 3 Israeli men who were working as security guards have been shot dead by a Jordanian gunman who opened a fire at a border point between Jordan and the West Bank. The attacker was also shot dead. Venezuelan opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez landed in Spain on Sunday after fleeing his home country, after the issuance of an arrest warrant accusing him of terrorism, conspiracy, and other crimes in connection with Venezuela's disputed presidential election. The 2024 Paris Paralympics ended its 12-day journey with a grand closing ceremony on Sunday. And 4 years from now, the drama and inspiration will continue in Los Angeles. Lee Seung-jae has more.
The Paralympics flame that has lit the French capital of Paris for 12 days is now extinguished, marking the end of the 2024 Paris Paralympic Games. The event, filled with inspiration, drama, and celebration, came to an end with the closing ceremony taking place at Stade de France in Saint-Denis on Sunday. Including a refugee team, a total of 4,567 para-athletes from 169 National Paralympic Committee member countries competed, with 549 gold medals up for grabs in 22 events. Much like the Paris Olympics, South Korea exceeded its own expectations, surpassing its goal of 5 gold medals. With 83 para-athletes competing, South Korea won 6 gold medals, 10 silver, and 14 bronze, finishing 22nd overall in the medal standings. South Korea won its 6th gold medal on Saturday, thanks to Kim Young-gun's gold medal finish in the men's table tennis singles. It was also Kim's 5th career Paralympics gold, meaning he's now tied in 2nd place for most Paralympics golds in South Korean history. China finished with the most gold medals with 94, followed by the UK at 49 and the United States at 36. Meanwhile, South Korean para-Nordic skier Won Yoo-min was elected to the International Paralympic Committee's Athletes Council on Saturday, earning 296 votes and becoming one of 6 new members to join. One will serve a 4-year term representing para-athletes around the world and giving feedback on global sports policies for the para-athletes. With the curtain now drawing on Paris, para-athletes around the world will continue their pursuit of going up against all odds and bringing more inspiration and joy to the Paralympics in Los Angeles 4 years from now. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
And President Yoon thanked South Korea's Paralympic athletes who scooped up a total of 30 medals, including 6 golds. In a Facebook post on Sunday, South Korean leader praised the hard work of the 83 athletes who competed in Paris and their coaches and families who supported them with unwavering dedication. He noted the successes of athlete Jung Ho-won, who clinched his 10th gold medal in a row in boccia, and Park Jin-ho, who won 2 golds in shooting. He also mentioned how Kwon Ho-kyung won a silver medal for South Korea in wheelchair fencing, a first in 36 years, while Cheong-bum became the first South Korean to reach the finals in canoeing. The president sent a heartfelt round of applause and promised continued support for Team Korea. 3 Israelis have been shot dead at a border crossing between the West Bank and Jordan. This comes amid an increase in Israeli ground operations in the West Bank in the past month. Our Choi So-hyung has the latest.
3 Israelis have been shot and killed on the border between the West Bank and Jordan. On Sunday local time, the Israel Defense Forces reported that a shooter got off a truck and killed 3 people with a handgun at the Allenby Bridge crossing over the Jordan River. The IDF called this a terror attack and said the shooter was then shot and killed by the Israeli forces. According to the Times of Israel newspaper, the shooter was a 39-year-old truck driver from Jordan named Meir Diaf Hussein al-Zazi, and 2 of the 3 victims were in their 60s, while the age of the other victim was not given.
What I saw with my own eyes, we were sitting and standing at the checkpoint waiting for our turn after the bus in front of us was searched. There was a bus and a truck in front of us. A man got out and carried out the operation. We bus passengers didn't know what to do and we were panicking.
Israel and Jordan closed the Allenby Bridge after the incident, and Israel also closed 2 other checkpoints connecting to Jordan. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that a cowardly terrorist brutally murdered 3 innocent Israeli civilians. Hamas praised the shooter, calling him one of Jordan's brave men. Since the end of August, Israel has been carrying out military operations in the West Bank, claiming to destroy the infrastructure of terrorism. On September 6th, a 20-year-old Turkish-American woman was shot dead by Israeli forces during a protest. The U.S. has asked Israel to investigate the incident. On September 7th, Turkey called for an anti-Israel alliance, saying that the only way to stop Israel's actions is the unification among Muslim countries. Hyung, Arirang News.
For the 5th straight day, North Korea sent trash-carrying balloons toward South Korea on Sunday. According to the Joint Chief of Staff, the North sent around 120 balloons over 3 hours from 9 a.m. Of those, 40 were confirmed to have fallen in areas of Seoul and northern Gyeonggi-do province. Now, no harmful substances were found, with the trash mainly consisting of paper, plastic, and bottles. Sunday's provocation follows the sending of 200 balloons late Saturday, and it's the 17th time balloons have been sent since late May. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida wrapped up his farewell summit with President Yoon as a Japanese leader over the weekend, with a thankful note to Yoon and a voice of hope that Seoul-Tokyo relations continue to thrive. For more, we're joined by Stephen Norper, President of Asia Dialogue. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you very much. Delighted to be back.
Thanks for joining us. So why do you think Kishida felt the need to visit South Korea one last time as leader? What's your take on the farewell summit?
Well, it was important for Kishida because this was his opportunity to show one of his great foreign policy successes, having repaired the relationship with South Korea, having grown closer with the United States, South Korea, and Japan. So this was an opportunity to do that. It also allows Kishida to put into place a dynamic where this will continue beyond. Whomever his successor is, this is likely to continue. And so it was meant to give a boost to Seoul and to Korea-Japan relations.
Right, and let's talk about the outcome of the summit. The 2 leaders signed an agreement that they will help their people to evacuate in case of a conflict in a third country. Now, how meaningful is this deal? I mean, why did Japan request to do so with South Korea?
Well, it's symbolic, but it's also very practical. Both Japan and Korea have foreign nationals in many different countries working on business, as well as with overseas assistance, a lot of aid workers, etc. So this allows them to share flights in the event that something was to happen, instability in a country, some sort of armed conflict. Korean residents would be able to board Japanese government-sponsored flights, and similarly, Japanese would be able to board Korean government-sponsored flights. So it's a very practical measure that makes things easier in the event of something unfortunate, but it's also symbolic on a growing and warmer relationship.
Well, Yoon and Kishida also agreed to maintain positive momentum in Seoul-Tokyo ties even after, Kishida steps down as the leader. Do you think the promise will be kept even after the change of leadership in Japan?
I do. I see that continuing in large part because this now has been a momentum that has grown over 3 years. It has taken place in terms of a dozen meetings between the Japanese and South Korean leaders. Also the trilateral meetings, the meetings with the United States, Japan, and Korea. So this has a very heavy momentum, and so it should continue. That's really to no one's advantage to disparage that or to try to take that into a negative direction. And so hopefully this will continue. It's developed really well, and there's real opportunity and benefits for Korea, economic benefits, jobs for young Koreans, certainly the appeal of K-pop and other K-culture in places like Japan. So there are economic benefits as well as political partnership.
Well, what many experts believe is that the trilateral cooperation between Seoul, Tokyo, and Washington will also remain solid even after the change of leadership, not just in Japan and also in the U.S. Are you also on the same page?
Oh, absolutely, in the sense that the global dynamics right now are very concerning. Clearly, you have the developments in North Korea, their enhancement of missile technology, their continued work on the nuclear front, their newly burgeoning relationship with Russia. You have concern about Russian aggression in Ukraine, concern about China and its growth and militarization, and concern on other international fronts, Gaza, Ukraine, as we've mentioned, and others. So it really behooves the three to be working very closely, Korea, Japan, and the United States. And certainly that will be a priority, in particular if we see Harris elected, because she's very alliance-friendly. But we will see, I think, a continued close relationship among the three.
Well, speaking of geopolitical tensions and also regional tensions here on the Korean Peninsula, what do you think the reason is behind North Korea's reckless flying of trash-carrying balloons in recent days?
Well, they're continued irritants, and they're meant to provoke, but they're meant to be low-level irritants. They're not missiles, they're not artillery, but they are meant to irritate and to bother you, sure. And so the best response is to minimize the response, to turn down the volume and not respond to those provocations or ratchet up rhetoric, because that's exactly what North Korea wants in this case. So it's an irritation. It's something that's not pleasant to deal with, but it's one where calmer heads need to prevail, and that's in everyone's interest.
Right, and what I've noticed recently is that North Korean leader's sister Kim Yo-jong has been, relatively quiet lately, especially after speculation that her niece Jue is next in line in the regime. Why so quiet? What do you think?
Well, I wouldn't read too much into that in the sense that there's always positioning within the DPRK regime. So at some points, certain people are more vocal than others. That happens with officials. But within the family, one would think that the Kim family keeps things rather close. And so you'll see modulation over time. But there's no doubt that both the sister and the daughter are influential in the eyes of Kim Jong-un. And certainly, I think treating both with that expectation is probably in everyone's interest. So we'll keep an eye on and see exactly where things go. But I wouldn't overstate the concern here.
Alrighty, thank you so much for your insights. As always, we appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure. Always great to be with you. And aloha.
Seoul Fashion Week took place here in the capital last week, giving the world a glimpse of exciting Korean fashion. Our Yoon was there.
K-pop stars NewJeans are ready to make waves in the fashion world, serving as the 2025 Spring and Summer Seoul Fashion Week's ambassadors for the second year. The girl group aims to elevate global interest in K-fashion.
Seoul has become a fashion hotspot, with Seoul Fashion Week leading the way. The week showcases cutting-edge K-fashion and provides emerging Korean brands with a global stage. Let's dive into the fashion trends and standout moments from this year's event.
Fashion industry is kind of high level, I would say, because there are a lot of brands compared to Russia, for example, and also a lot of ways to express yourself.
I took lots of pictures today, over there and in front of the teddy bear. I also did some challenges.
The opening fashion show featured designer Imuel's streetwear brand, User. It kicked off the 21 runway shows scheduled over the 5-day fashion week. This year's Fashion Week centers on the theme Sustainable Fashion. Fashion brand Parts is showing its collection to emphasize the urgent need for fashion to be more sustainable.
Paris has adhered to a zero-waste philosophy using only one material for the past 13 years.
The essence of Seoul Fashion Week lies in connecting brand designers and buyers, and this season features 95 brands and over 100 global buyers. Another innovative fashion event born to facilitate cultural exchange between South Korea and Italy is Milan Loves Seoul. Following its successful debut in Milan last February, the event has now landed in Seoul. An exclusive exhibition and fashion show featuring leading brands from both countries is hosted at High Street Italia, located on Gangnam's trendy Garosu-gil Street. The project creators view Korea as the most interesting place to create something new.
This place is evolving very fast, and we think that in Italy we need this kind of networking with the Korean designers. So Milan Loves Seoul really loves Korea, and I think that Korea really loves Italy.
We hope that thanks to this project, our Italian designer will open a new market here in Korea, find new business opportunity for them, but same Korean designer in Italy.
Italian brand Noskra displays its collection that has a touch of the latest Korean fashion trends.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of connection between Italy and Korea, especially in the fashion world. I think the product, the concept and the silhouette are like in line with the Korean taste.
For the Korean models, the show gives them the opportunity to work with Italian designers.
It's such a great honor to be able to take part in this amazing event. Given the opportunity to model and represent Milan brands in South Korea. I'm so grateful, thankful.
I wear the clothes for Francesca Cotone, and the color is everything, and it's so beautiful. I'm genuinely grateful to participate as model with these amazing designer brands and fabulous clothes. So I'll do my best to show you guys a great look.
Seoul, brimming with style, shows how fashion can connect countries and people with a touch of chic. Yoon, Arirang News.
Good morning. I'm Kim Xiang, and this is The World Now. We begin today in Venezuela, where the opposition candidate for president in the July 28th election, Edmundo González, fled for Spain on Saturday, where he has been granted a political asylum. Now, González reportedly left the Spanish embassy in Venezuela aboard a Spanish Air Force plane before landing at Torreón Air Base in Madrid. 75-year-old González, who ran against Nicolás Maduro in the recent presidential election, has a warrant out for his arrest issued after the opposition disputed election results that granted Maduro a third term. The leader of the Venezuelan opposition political alliance, the Democratic Unitary Platform, said González had fled to preserve his freedom, his integrity and his life after accusing Maduro's government of unleashing a brutal wave of repression following the presidential election. Maduro's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez said that González's exile would restore political peace. The opposition claimed González won the election by a comfortable margin and published evidence online. However, Venezuela's national election body has yet to publish its voting tallies despite international pressure. Now, foreign governments, including the US and EU member states, have refused to accept Maduro as the winner without detailed voting data. Described as one of the most powerful storms to hit the country over the past decade, Super Typhoon Yagi wreaked havoc in Vietnam this past weekend, where it triggered landslides, sank boats, ripped roofs of buildings and left at least 21 people dead. Yagi made landfall in northern Vietnam on Friday with wind speeds of over 150 kilometers per hour, destroying infrastructure and uprooting trees, with the dead including a family of 4 who were killed by a landslide on Sunday morning. Yagi disrupted power supplies and telecommunications in the country's capital, Hanoi, on Saturday, where extensive damage was seen due to flooding and thousands of falling trees. Vietnam's meteorological agency downgraded Yagi from a typhoon to a tropical depression on Sunday, but warned of a high risk of further storm-related flooding and landslides. Boeing's Starliner spacecraft landed uncrewed in the New Mexico desert late on Friday local time. The mission had been intended to be a final test flight for Starliner before NASA certifies it for routine missions. It carried 2 human astronauts when it set off in June, but those astronauts had to stay at the International Space Station rather than return to Earth over safety concerns of the Air spacecraft. The 2 NASA astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, will return to Earth on a SpaceX vehicle in February 2025, ending what was meant to be an 8-day test, but what has now turned into an 8-month stay in space. Now, world #1 ranked tennis player Jannik Sinner showcases skills and perseverance to beat American Taylor Fritz on Sunday in the final of the US Open. Sinner became the first Italian man to win the US Open title, while local fans at the Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York had hoped to see Fritz become the first American man to win the US Open since 2003. 23-year-old Sinner beat 26-year-old Fritz by 6-3, 6-4 and 7-5 in the 3 sets played.
Good morning. Most parts will be under a September heat wave with heat alerts in place for much of Korea, including here in Seoul. Parts of Jeollanam-do and Gyeongsang-nam-do provinces are even under a heat wave warning this morning. Western regions will be hotter this afternoon with highs easily surpassing 33 degrees. The rapid rise in highs will bring sporadic rain of 5 to 40 millimeters to the nation, so please keep an umbrella handy. It will rain down heavily once it starts. Seoul could see heavy passing rain in the mid-afternoon. The South Coast and Jeju had tropical nights, with the Jeju Island seeing a record-breaking 63 tropical nights as of this morning, with an expected high of 32 degrees this afternoon. Busan topping out at 31 degrees Celsius. Skies will be mostly sunny until that passing rain falls. Summer is not done yet. Hot September temperatures continue through this week, with an expected high of 34 degrees here in the capital on Wednesday. Late summer heat looks to stay possibly into the Chuseok holiday weekend. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
That's all we have for today's New Day at Arirang. Have a wonderful start to the week.